Here's my magnolia tree. It's looking nice. The leaves are starting to fall. It's my front pathway with little plants. This is all Shasta daisies around there, and the other side had crocuses, but there's actually Rudbeckia, black-eyed Susans on the other side. Here's my little bird bath and some ferns with daffodils, and then there's some shrubs I planted behind there. These are Helleborus. They're kind of finished blooming. They have little buttercup flowers early in the spring. I didn't plant a lot of bulbs this spring. Some of this is from a year ago. And then all down here I have catmint and bergamot or monarda, I guess, bee balm. And I planted Sweet William, which is a biennial, so it's not going to come back every year. I have to keep replanting it, but it's going to be really nice. It's kind of like a carnation, but it doesn't have double flowers. It's just single flowers. And you can see the little blue grape hyacinths. They're just mixed in for color, and then just some daffodils. And here's my PJM rhododendron that was developed at the experimental farm, so it's really hardy here. And little mini blue spruce, or Alberta spruce, sorry. And then I have euonymus, and then these are ornamental grasses. It's that blue fescue, and then this is Carl Foster reed grass. It's going to have the tall feathery plumes in the spring. Then this is the newer part with euonymus again. There's coneflowers, purple coneflowers in there that you can't see necessarily. Here's a euonymus, a burning bush, the one that turns like flaming pink in the fall. And then this is a nesting spruce, so it's a spruce that spreads sideways. And then I have a Swiss stone pine. It's a little baby dwarf one that's going to take a long time to grow. And then another Alberta spruce, and then a black spruce, which is also a really dwarf tree. And then I have a serviceberry, which will give kind of blueberry-like berries that you can actually eat. It's easier to grow than blueberries if you ever wanted to get one. And then I have Falsperia here, which has kind of like pink feathery foliage. It has a pink tinge to it. I just redid this area, and I transplanted a whole bunch of ferns, and then I have 2 nannyberry bushes that have white edible flowers and 3 white flowers, and then they have nice fall foliage color. These are really nice. They smell really good too. But it can get a bit messy, I guess. And then this huge evergreen tree I brought home in my car from Home Depot. It's a weeping false cypress. It gives you a lot of height but doesn't take up a lot of space. And I'm just going to the back. These are some bulbs I planted in the springtime, just underneath a tree here. That thing there is another serviceberry, so that in the future we'll have the white flowers. And then this is the back. These are all peonies, so they haven't flowered yet, but that's that huge pom-pommy flower. And then I have some ferns. There's my little rosemary bush. I grew some, these are an interesting marigold that's supposed to be creamy pink, which is really unusual because apparently normally they're yellow and orange and white, but these ones are kind of called like strawberry or something because it'll be more of a pink, so it's unusual. And I have some ornamental kale. That's the thing that has that kind of rose in the middle of flowers, and some spring little peonies and things, daffodils. I just set this up because I like the sound of the water. And there's more tulips down there. Last year I planted this whole pathway with sunflowers, but I decided to put my tomatoes here this year, so I grew some tomatoes and I have lettuce as well. This was full of crocuses and spring flowers, and now they've kind of died back, but the next thing will be all the ornamental allium, you know, those things that kind of look like fireworks. They're purple. And then I've planted some balsam, which is like a impatient, but it grows kind of more like a stick shape. And this is a plum tree that I also grafted apricot onto, and then this is a crabapple tree that I grafted actual apples you can eat onto. And this is a really nice shrub too. It's called a mock orange, and it has beautiful perfume, like it's a white flower, and it doesn't grow too big. It's kind of more up and down. And then that's a big rose, and this is something that doesn't look like anything, but it's a wisteria that I grew for the last, gotta be 6 or 7 years, and trained into a topiary shape, and it'll have big clusters of drooping pale blue flowers. They're just about to open up, so it'll be a real show when it gets going. And over here I have a lilac. It's called Wonder Blue. It has a beautiful blue lilac, and this is a upright crabapple. You know, it just grows kind of like a stick. I can't remember what the right name is. And then that's the birch I was telling you about. It grows straight up and down because normally birches have a whole bunch of branches coming out of the bottom, but this one goes just straight up and down. Columnar, that's what it is, and this is a columnar crabapple tree, so it goes straight up and down. And then I have some here. I will have phlox. It's like a white pom-pom type flower, and then I have a whole bunch of alliums, those ornamental onions that'll come up in flower. And I have French roses. It's a rugosa rose, I believe, a shrub rose, but it's very fragrant. And I put this little archway up just to add something to the garden, and I have sweet peas on it. And then I have a whole bunch of things that they don't really look like anything yet, but they will be stalks, which are very fragrant. And this is a hazelnut tree, you know, like what Nutella is made out of. So that it's going to be hazelnuts. And then I have two little, oh my gosh, what are those called? Weigelias. And they have hot pink flowers. It's two shrubs that are just starting to open. And this is another crabapple with very dark red flowers. It's very nice. And then this is another birch, that straight up and down birch I was telling you about. And this is a columnar apple tree, so it actually apples you can eat, and it just goes straight up and down. And this is a 9-bark. It's really pretty because it has unusual leaf colors. Do you see the red and orange? And this is a pagoda dogwood. So it branches out really wide, and it has this beautiful leaf pattern on it. And then this is a, oh my gosh. It's escaping me right now. It's a toothed, oh my gosh, what is it called? Toothed sumac. It's a tiger sumac, and it has serrated edges, and it turns so many pretty different colors in the fall. It's called staghorn sumac because the Branches here kind of look like, you know, one of those antlers, and it's actually furry when you touch it. And these two trees are, that one here and that one there, behind there, are choke cherries, but it's a special variety that has gigantic clusters of, I love the smell of choke cherries. They smell so good. This is going to turn coppery red in the summer, and it has these little flowers on it that will open up, and they have a wonderful perfume, and they'll be like clusters of grapes. It's a special variety that grows super, super, super big. And this is the parking pad, and I have a, oh my gosh, mountain ash that has those big red berries. It's really pretty. I like it a lot. And then this one is a little leaf linden that I planted that has beautiful honey scented flowers that some people use for tea. And then I have two urns that I had at the front of the house that I moved back here that I potted up with just geraniums I saved. I saved them for the last 2 years, and they're like $1.25, but waste not, want not, I guess. And then here I have a Serbian spruce. It's an extremely narrow growing evergreen. It's very nice. It's like one of the top landscape plants because it doesn't grow too wide, and it's just starting to have a nice silvery color. And then I have some berries here. I have currants, different kinds of black and red currants that you can make jam with, and I have raspberries. I cut back a Korean lilac, really severely cut it back, so that's going to grow back. And then here I have some raised beds with beets, Swiss chard, kale, and salad. And here's another lilac called Charles Jolie. It's supposed to be, or Jolly, I guess Jolie. It's supposed to be one of the nicest red colored lilacs. It's just about to open. It's a very nice color. And then here, because my parents gave away one of the cars because we didn't use it, I have extra space, and I decided to put in some pumpkins because I thought you can trim a plant. You don't need to let it go crazy. It can just have 2 or 3 pumpkins, and then you just trim the end off. So I have some pumpkins here, and I have different roses. They haven't opened yet. This is a Floribunda rose, so it has multiple roses in clusters. And then I have phlox and rhubarb and different things. And here I decided to put some zucchini. I just thought, why not, if you have the space. And I have snow peas in here. I started these as soon as I could turn the soil in like when it was freezing outside, because they don't care. As long as you can move the soil, you can plant them. And here's spinach. I recently had to put this chicken wire on because the squirrels were digging in there and they were driving me crazy. I think I'm still going to plant some sunflowers. And this is, I usually call it Sunflower Alley, but I have all my different varieties of tomatoes I grew. And I've planted them. They were way taller than that, but what you do is you plant them basically sideways almost. Rip all the leaves off except for at the end, and you plant them almost completely sideways, and all the places that you put under the ground will grow roots, and the more roots you have, the more chance you have at fruit. And then I ran out of space, so I have different leaves. I planted a whole bunch of lettuce. You can see it in a line, the lettuce that I started in the house going down there, because eventually it will be shadowed by the tomatoes, but I think that by the time it's ready, the tomatoes, by the time the lettuce is ready, I will harvest it, and then the tomatoes can keep growing, so I'm multi-using my space. And this is Virginia bluebells. It's really pretty. I really like it. It's actually darker blue than on the camera. And then this grassy area that doesn't look like anything has a couple of different kinds of ornamental grasses. There's a short variegated one. And then I put, I believe, Serbian irises. The irises that kind of are really skinny, but they look like ornamental grass, just so that there's pops of color. So I'll have blue pops of color in between different ornamental grass textures, so I think it goes together nicely. And then I have some phlox behind that. And then I have an eastern white pine, which does grow very big, but it grows slowly, and I feel like it's not going to be a problem. And then I planted a whole bunch of zinnias, and I have all these different clumps of zinnias you can see there, like clumps of 3 zinnias, 3 zinnias, 3 zinnias going all the way down the path in front of the tomatoes. And here's the peonies again, and here's some bleeding hearts. There's another rose that's going to be very nice, and then that's the wisteria I was talking about. And then I planted a whole bunch of annuals in here. They don't look like much right now, but there's some more Sweet William that will probably not flower this year. It's going to be biennial, so it grows this year, flowers next year. I have an interesting cosmos that's orange and red colored. I have zinnias, and I have status, which if you Google it, it's really cool. It's this flower that you can actually pick and dry, and the one I chose is blue. And then I started some fall mums, so this won't do anything till the fall, but I've started a few fall mums as well. And then I have a whole bunch of daylilies going down there too. I planted these pots up with cherry tomatoes. It's a dwarf cherry tomato that's not going to grow tall, it just stays dwarf. And then I put some peppers and a couple marigolds, and I had these extra pots, so I started some more marigolds because I feel like it's kind of Mexican and Italian, like it's very hot in this area, so it'll be like fiesta time. And then I just have this other geranium I saved. I couldn't throw it out, so I saved it over the winter, and I have that there. This pot is going to be full of canna lilies, if you know what that is. It's that huge leaf. It kind of looks like a banana tree with a red flower or orange flower. And I bought this huge dahlia. I started it in the house, but it's going to have gigantic kind of apricot-y orange flowers. It should be interesting. So I'm just transitioning from one season to the next because all my spring things are kind of finishing up the really early season flowers, and then I have like transitional flowers, I guess, like bleeding hearts and these bluebells. They completely die down. They will completely die down by the summer, and then hopefully the roses will have started, and my annuals will have started, and the peonies, because from now until June sometimes it's hard because of how cold it is here to have flowers going. But I start a lot of stuff from seed, so I have to be more patient, you know. But it should be really nice. And these are sweet peas. That's a flower. I think you probably know. I have that on both sides of this arch. So hopefully that'll be nice too. And then I have clematis. I just transplanted a clematis here. It's that flower that sometimes it's purple. There's all different colors. I think that one's a really nice blue. And this is a really old grapevine that we have to prune back, and it does produce fruit.